The stakes couldn't be any higher than where they are right now for both Texas and Michigan. Oregon as well. Ohio State, pretty much well in the same boat. The stakes couldn't be higher for all of them. I mean, considering they're all in the top 10. I mean, Texas is at number 3. Ohio State's at number 2. Oregon at number 5, I believe. Western Michigan, who is not ranked, pretty much almost pulled it off with Wisconsin, coming up short at 28-14. Boise State, who had a shootout victory of 56-45 over Southern Georgia, pretty much showed they absolutely believed to be there. We're gonna go over stats of every team that was there, of who their leading quarterback was, if they had the second string in there, leading running back, leading wide receiver, leading defensive man, or whoever had the most interceptions. Okay? We're going to go down the line here. We're going to start with Texas. Even though they're not big, we're going to do head-to-head between the two. First, we're going to do with Oregon. Starting with Dillon Gabriel. Went 41 of 49 for 380 yards, 2 touchdowns. His average passing yards was 7.8 yards. Then, number 20, Gordon James, 15 carries, 95 yards, 1 touchdown. Average carry was 6.3 yards. Longest was 16. Then, number 3, Terrence Ferguson, 7 receptions, 87 yards. Average reception was 12.4. Longest was 17. Then number 3, Brandon Johnson, had one interception of 20 yards. And it was returned 20 yards. And then the leading tackler was number 9, Nico Reed, 3 tackles. He also had an interception. So that tells you a lot about Oregon there. Now, if you want to look at how Boise State did, the quarterback ratio here, Maddox Madsen went 22 of 31 for 280 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, was 9 yards on average. Then number 2, Ashton Jeanty, with 20 carries, 267 yards, 6 touchdowns, 77 was the longest. 13.4 was average. Number 9, Cameron Camper, 4 receptions, 99 yards, 53 was the longest. 24.8 is average. The number 10, Cameron Andrew Simpson, 2 tackles, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles. And number 34, Alexander Tebner, 1 fumble recovery. There you have it. That's the head-to-head numbers for Oregon versus Boise State. Now, if you want to look at how Ohio State versus Western Michigan, or Ohio State versus Michigan, or Texas versus Michigan. Now, Ohio State versus Western Michigan, we'll go with Ohio State. Number 18, Will Howard, 17 of 28, 228 yards, 3 touchdowns. Average yards were 8.1 yards. Then number 32, Trayvon Henderson, 8 carries, 65 yards. Longest was 21. 8.1 yards was average for him. Then Jeremiah Smith, 6 receptions, 92 yards, 2 touchdowns. 45 was the longest. Average reception was 15.3 yards average. Then the interception, one of the interceptions was Denzel Burke, 1 interception. Then Lethal Ransom. Latham Ransom, excuse me. Latham Ransom, I think that's how it's pronounced, my bad. 5 tackles, 4 assists, 1 fumble recovery. That's pretty impressive for the defense, for the leading defender. Now you got your offense for Western Michigan. Number 11, Hayden Wolof, 12 of 18, 441 yards, 7.8 average with 1 interception. Then Jalen Buckley, 16 carries for 64 yards, 2 touchdowns. 17 was the longest, average of 4 yards. Then number 17, Malik Dudonte, or something like that. 2 receptions, 45 yards, 23 the longest, 22 average. And then number 1, Bilhon Cone, Bilhal, Bilhal Cone, 11 tackles. Number 58, Tyson Lee, 1 fumble recovery. So that tells you a lot about that team, about how good they really are. Now, we go up here to face off with Michigan and Texas. This right here, these numbers right here says it all. And I mean, it says it all. We'll start with Michigan. Number 16, Davis Warren went 15 of 25, 118 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. His average passes were 4.7 yards average. Not even a deep down passer. Leading rusher, number 20, Kalen Mullins, 15 carries, 92 yards, 21 was his longest, 6.1 was the average. Then, your leading receiver wasn't even a receiver, he was a tight end. Colston Loveland, 8 receptions, 87 yards, 1 touchdown. 20 was the longest, 10.9 average. The number 2, Will Johnson, 1 interception, 86 yards for a touchdown. Then number 0, Josiah Stewart, 5 tackles, 2 sacks. That's what they have. Now, for Texas, you have Quinn Ewers, went 20 of 27, 260 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, average yards, 9.6 yards average. And then, number 9, Jarrett Gibson, 10 carries, 67 yards, 1 touchdown, 22 the longest. Average 6.7 yards a carry. The number 5, Ryan Wingo, 4 carries, 70 yards, 1 touchdown, 30 yards is the longest, average of 23.3 yards. Then number 7, Jahadi Barron, 1 interception, returned 30 yards. Then number 3, Jalen Gibbo, 2 tackles and 6 assists. That tells you that much about Texas. Now, let's go by how this all was. Now, we already know how Oregon... I was very disappointed in Oregon's biggest performance that they were supposed to have. But now, let's go over Michigan's versus Texas view. The stakes couldn't be higher between those two. I mean, Texas, number 10, Michigan, and number 3, Texas. That is a very good team. Texas has showed how they can perform. They literally said how they would. Quinn Ewers, former Buckeye, played only 1 snap, got only under 1 snap under center. It was like the last play of the game. He only ran the ball, and that was it. Other than that, he never really got anything else. Then he went all the way to there. But even his counterpart, Arch Manning, seems to be a monster. He looks like something else that could be pretty good to go after. Arch Manning looks like he could be something else. But I wouldn't be surprised if Arch Manning gets out there. Now, Alex Orji from Michigan, on the other hand, he was quite impressive as well. If he does does some trickery and everything, and tries to pull off some of that trickery he did, that might give Texas a little run for their money and a little mix-up. But considering the way Texas played on defense, if they actually can play the same way composure they did before, I can see them pulling it off. I can see Texas pulling off a victory. Now, Michigan's just going to have to completely play a complete, total, different game. They're got to go out of their comfort zone, literally completely out of their comfort zone, if they really want to win this game against Texas. Because right now, Texas is favored by like a touchdown. And I say again, a touchdown. Now, considering the facts that they gave up 244 total yards on defense, Michigan's defense did. And considering that Texas pretty much showed how they could do that. And they pretty much proved how well they could play with anybody. The passing game here. Now, I'm going to show you some scenarios here. Now, you put 30... Now you take that 39 yards. Technically, the 9 yards, technically you add the 30 yards onto that. What do you get? 39 yards altogether. Which would make the 250... Most of those yards were actually off of the passing game. So, the 244 from the 9 rushing would be 39 yards rushing. So, still good rushing defense, just the passing game is what's killing Michigan. They don't have a pass defense. The passing game is the killer. So, if everyone takes advantage of their passing game and can run, it's a killer. Michigan's going to get killed out there. So, with that being said, the negative 30 yards that the Fresno State quarterback got, if that occurs a lot, then I can see I can see them being in big trouble. The negative 30 yards, not only Josiah Stewart inflicted 2 of the sacks, but there was multiple other ones that made sacks too. I don't have those stats down, but negative 30 yards of the 39 that originally was on there. So that makes 9. So 235, 244 plus 30. What's that equal? So tell me what that all equals out to, and tell me what our final numbers are here. And then we can have a nice, good conversation about this. So, what do we have here? So, 55. Let me get some other numbers here so we can get down to some hard business. Let's get the Texas stats here. Let me get the Ohio State stats. Here we go. Now, the Fresno State numbers, they allowed only 9 rushing and 235 passing. So 35, 45, 55, 65. $264 total yards is what they would have. 264. Just a few shy from what Michigan has. 269. 269 to 264. Now, add that on with the potential without that pick 6 from Will Johnson, and say they score that touchdown, 20-yard touchdown pass at the 20-yard line. They're threatening to score, and they're at the 20. An 86-yard touchdown pass. pick six, an 86-yard pick six. You know what the final score would possibly be right now? It would most likely be 23-17. We would have take down the. We could easily have 255 yards receiving, which would make the final. Keep the negative 30 yards on there. Keep it only 9, which would make the 35, which would make 255 total yards, and that'd be 274 yards. Actually, it's 264 total yards, which would be the 20. Now, you get, like, other things, such as 39, and you add other things up. But, say the 39 exist. 39 yards. Now, add 30 to what you got. From 64 to 30, what do you get? 294. They outdid Michigan because they had only had 269 total yards. Now you look at Texas, who only had 192 total yards. While Texas, on their hand, put up 545 total yards. That's technically what Michigan was putting up last year, even though the cheating scandal was going on. But that's another time. But say that never even happened, but say they won legitimately. This is literally what we're looking at right here. A team that is literally putting up good numbers. Quinn Ewers, who was a Buckeye once. If it hadn't been for the NIL, he probably wouldn't have gone his senior year and probably would have stayed another year and enrolled at Texas. No doubt about it. Because the only reason why he went to Ohio State for 1 year is so he could get his diploma. Is so he can get his diploma. Is so he not necessarily diploma, so he can get NIL money. And then once all that was done, he went all the way down to Texas, back to his home state. Plain and simple. That's where he went. So now we're looking at all the simple facts here about how Ohio State, Oregon, and Michigan. Now, looking at how Alex Orji, who went 1 of 2, I mean, that just shows you how good this team is. I'm not looking past Alex Orji one bit, and I'm not looking past Davis Warren. Now, Quinn Ewers, can't look past him either. Same with Arch Manning. Arch Manning put up 5 of 6 for 95 yards. I mean, that's really saying something for a second-string quarterback. I see when Quinn Ewers is gone, probably after this year, I see Arch Manning being the next phenomenal quarterback. I don't know what will happen after that because they'll probably most likely be gone. Who knows? I could be wrong, though. I don't know anymore days, honestly. But who knows? But now, as I was saying, you got some pretty damn good teams out there. Texas and Georgia. But Texas, I feel, will give Michigan a good run for their money. Either they win by 7 or they actually win by more. But considering the way Michigan has played, I don't see Michigan winning. Because 30-10, they had their chances to win, but they didn't capitalize on a lot of those chances. And look at Oregon numbers. 496, impressive. But they only put up 24 points. Look at how Texas did it. 545, and they put up 52 points on their opponent. That's how you do it. That's just how you do it, people. You put up 52 points when you do that. Same with Ohio State. 404. And you put up 52 points. I mean, Texas put up more, but still. And you're telling me Oregon's an elite team and they only managed to put up 24? You gotta do better than that. Well, between Texas, Oregon, between Texas and Michigan, tell me in the comments below what you think the final score will be. Between Ohio State and Western Michigan, tell me what you think the final score will be. And between Oregon and Boise State, between the head-to-head stats, tell me what you think the final score will be. With that being said, I'm out of here. Peace.